Hello guys, today I'm gonna make a video in which I'm going to explain to you how to make a mobile menu. So what I'm going to teach you is how to make your desktop menu responsive across all devices and screen sizes, or almost all screen sizes, because what I'm going to teach you is how to make your own structure and add animations to the menu so it's gonna look good and pleasant to the eye. So before we start, I have to say that I already filmed the video in advance, but I actually forgot the resolution of the recording at 720p, so it's going to be like a lower resolution, but it's still good to watch. But I'm going to make sure that in my next videos I'm gonna select that 1440p. So sorry about that. Also, I want to add that this video is meant for persons that are at the beginner to intermediate level, not even close the persons that are at an advanced levels, because you are not going to learn anything here. I'm just going to teach people that don't know CSS or JavaScript or HTML. I'm going to walk you through some basic stuff, and I'm going to explain it as simple as possible and as easy to understand. So this being said, let's get started. So this is the website. As you can see, I already have made my own menu. What I have right here is a bootstrap theme that I have downloaded from Google. It's free, you can use it to test it too. It's nothing special. This website is already responsive, everything besides the menu, because this is what I'm gonna teach you today. I'm gonna teach you how to transition from this to a better looking mobile menu, because as you can see, the website is responsive but the menu is not. So without further ado, let's start. I am gonna put this right here, make it a little smaller like so, and I'm using in VS Code something called live server. What this does is basically whatever change I make to the CSS files or HTML or images, it will automatically change and refresh my my browser window. So I'm just gonna demonstrate this to you like so. Just gonna do a display none on the body. Of course I don't recommend this, but I'm just gonna show you that it works without having me refresh this all the time. So how do we transition from okay, let me do this. How do we transition from this menu to a better looking menu with a button? Well, we first need to change our HTML because we don't have a trigger for our menu, because usually like 90%, I think it all depends on the design, but usually mobile menus have a button to trigger it on and off. So that's what we are going to do right now. We are going to add in our structure. It's a simple structure. So I have my left right here, which is my logo, and my right now, which is my current menu. And I'm gonna add another structure here in my right menu. I'm just gonna call it div, let's say mobile menu. It doesn't really matter. And I'm gonna add a button, which I'm gonna give a class of mobile menu. Again, it doesn't really matter. So save this. As you can see, we have the menu right here, and the button, I'm sorry. So what we have to do now, of course the button has nothing in it because we must add the icons in it, but we're gonna add that just in a bit. So what we have to do is think where we want a threshold. As you can see, I'm in the developer mode. So right here, when I change my resolution, I can see the current window resolution. So I'm just gonna think at a breakpoint in which I'm gonna hide my desktop menu, and in which I'm going to show my button, because I'm not gonna have it on my desktop because I don't want to have that. So what we are going to do is right click on this element, take its class, actually take this, the whole div, copy it, go in our CSS. I already have added my own CSS right here, and hide it on our desktop. But now it's gonna be hidden in our lower resolution as well. So what we have to do now is use a CSS property called media queries. So by using this syntax, I'm just gonna use this breakpoint because this is a basic iPad breakpoint. So what this does, it says at this resolution do something, whatever it's inside the curly braces. So we can use everything we want here, like usual CSS classes and IDs and attribute selectors. It doesn't really matter. And I'm just gonna take this class, my button, and I'm gonna give it a display of inline block. This means I'm gonna show it when the screen reaches at least this breakpoint. And I'm going to hide my menu at this breakpoint. Okay, let me make this a little smaller, like so. Yeah, do this, display none, save, and look again. Okay, we are not at that resolution quite yet, so you can see the menu right now is hidden, and I only have my button right here. Now what we want to do is add some icons. This theme, usually Bootstrap themes come already packed with Font Awesome. Font Awesome is a library of icons which you can use on your website to represent, I don't know, things like menus or email icons or Facebook icons, or you get the idea. So I'm just gonna go on Google and type Font Awesome 4.7 because this is the version that Bootstrap uses. So I'm just gonna go to icons, and I'm gonna search for bars because bars is the icon for which is gonna represent the menu. I'm gonna copy this in my HTML, in my button, one time, get rid of this weird indentation. Okay, and now I'm just gonna search for times. This is the symbol for close, and I'm gonna add it below that. I'm gonna save. I'm gonna quit this window because I don't need it. So as we can see now, we have two icons right here, and we don't want that. All we want is to show just the menu item, and we want to hide the X, and when the menu is open we want to hide the menu icon and show the X. So but before we do that, I'm just gonna style my button right here. I'm gonna make it a little bit prettier. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna style here right in my console. Let's give it like a width of 38, a height of 38, background, let's say white, it doesn't matter, remove the border and get rid of the padding. Okay, so I'm just gonna take my style, copy it in my CSS, save, and now we still have this. So what we have to do now, okay, let me give this this one, let me give it a text align right. So the button is gonna be aligned to the right. It's gonna align to the right because I give it a property of inline block. So if I would have given it like block, it wouldn't have worked. So if you're not familiar with the display types, I advise you to go on Google and search for it. Okay, so now our menu is aligned to our right. What we want to do now is have some sort of toggle, some sort of class that lets us know when our mobile menu is open and when it's closed. So we usually do this by applying, let's say, a class to our body, because this is easier to target our elements, because body is a really higher up element in our DOM, so it contains all our elements. So we're just gonna do that. We're gonna add a class to our body. Let's say we are going to add, let's say, a body class of show menu. And when we have this class of show menu, we want to hide this and show this. And when the menu is not open, we want to show this and hide this. So by default, we are just going to copy this style right here. I'm just gonna stick this to our right, so it's gonna be easier for you to see everything. I'm gonna refresh this first. Okay, copy this so we can target our button, and we are going to target our FA bars. .fa bars. I'm just gonna, okay, sorry. By default, I'm just gonna give it a display block, let's say, and on our X, I'm gonna hide it. Okay, so it's looking pretty okay now. And we want, when we have the show menu class on our body, we want to hide this and show the X. So we're just going to do reverse this. I'm just gonna give this a property of display none, and give my other element display block property, and this should work. But it's not working right now because we need to give our body a class, and the way we are going to do that, we're going to need to add some JavaScript. But don't worry, I'm gonna try to explain it as simple as possible. It's nothing complicated. And here in the footer, I'm just gonna add a script tag. It is highly recommended you add your JavaScript to the footer of your website, because that way JavaScript can target all your DOM elements. Because if you put it above your all elements, it wouldn't know how to target your elements, because the DOM has loaded after the JavaScript. So we're just gonna leave it here in the bottom. Of course there are exceptions, but for now we're just gonna add it here. So I'm just gonna say var, okay, I'm just gonna use the const because ES6. Just gonna give it const button, oh no, let's say like mobile button. I'm gonna use document.query selector, and I'm gonna give it this class. And now what I'm going to do is add an event listener to this body, like so. Click, the second parameter is a function, and the third parameter is for exports, which will not go into details right now. So add event listener is a property which lets us add some, I don't know how to call it, some events like click or hover or mouse enter on. When we do something there, we can capture it with JavaScript. In this case we're gonna capture the click instance, so I'm just gonna do a console log right here, clicked. I'm gonna save this, go to our console, and as you can see it works. So what do we want to do now is add that class I have been talking about to our body. So I'm just gonna do .body .class list I'm just gonna use the toggle show menu, like so. And now it works. As you can see, our body is changing our class. It adds and removes the class. So the toggle class, it adds and removes it if it has it, and it's gonna add it if it doesn't have it. So that's a good thing to use. We are not gonna use add or remove because we have to do other verification. So instead we're just gonna use the toggle method, which is way simpler. So now that works. I'm just gonna save it, and now what we have to do is do our JavaScript. We have to show our menu. But before we do that, I'm just gonna make my logo a bit smaller on mobile screen. So I don't know, let's give it like 160. Maybe that's too small. 180, 90. Okay, this looks good. So I'm just gonna give it right here on the tablet. I'm just gonna give a width of 190 pixels. Okay, that looks good. So what do we want to do now? We can use our classes, our toggle right here, and that's how we want to show and hide our menu. So by default we're gonna hide it, and when our body has this class, we're going to show it. So sounds pretty simple, right? I'm gonna do it again. Body dot show menu dot main menu display block. Okay, save it. As you can see, it looks pretty bad because we didn't apply any style to it. So as you can see, it works, but it looks awful. So what we are going to do now, we are going to style this menu. We're gonna leave it open by default so we can know what we are doing. I'm just going to make it fixed. Okay, I'm just gonna write here position fixed. Sorry about that. Fixed. I want to bring this up. Okay, so what position fixed does, it always keeps it stick to our screen. Okay, so I'm gonna give it top 0, right 0, and let's say a width of 200 pixels. Make the background red for now, but I'm gonna make it orange like this, and give it a height of, let's say, oh no, I'm just gonna, yeah, just give it a height of 100%. And it looks like so, it still looks bad. Let's change this as well. Give it a display block property. Give it a padding of right of 0. Give this menu some padding, let's say 20 pixels, I think. That should be good. Give the LIs a margin bottom of 10 pixels, so we're gonna have a distance. Okay, for now let's just copy our style from here to here, because we want to apply the style even when the menu is hidden, and we are just gonna show it with this class. Okay, sounds simple, and it actually is. I'm just gonna copy this, paste it somewhere, I don't know, right here, it doesn't really matter. Save this, and I'm just gonna refresh it. Okay, so this is our menu, but the problem right now is that we cannot close our menu because our menu right here is overlapping our button. So a simple solution is to give this menu a z-index property of -1. So z-index property is a CSS property that says which element has to be above the other. So a higher z-index property means that an element is above another, and a lower z-index property means that an element is below another element. So z-index property is gonna put it under my button. Every element in HTML has a z-index of 1 by default, and a quick note, you can only apply z-index property to elements that are fixed, absolute, relative, or sticky for that matter. So those are the only positions that take z-index into consideration. So you have like a position sticky, or by default an element doesn't have a position. Its position, it's actually sticky, static by default, so it doesn't work if you apply z-index to it without specifying the ones I just said. So what we are going to now, because as you can see the menu is, we can't really click on those elements. We're just going to give it like a higher padding top and bottom. Let's leave it like 20 pixels like so. So we can still click it, we can hide it, we can show it, but it looks pretty bad because it has no animation, but we're gonna get to that in a few. So this is the basic menu. Okay, just let me give this a bigger padding because I'm an OCD kind of guy. So are they aligned? Yeah, I think they are aligned right now. Copy this to here. Okay, save it. And we forgot to apply the z-index property. Okay, close it. Another problem, if you notice that, is when we scroll, our menu right here is like overlapping with our elements. I mean, it's not overlapping, but you can't distinguish it from the other elements. So what we are going to do now is add a little bit of more JavaScript, but don't worry. So when we are going to scroll, let's say like 200 pixels, we are just going to make this menu right here. We are going to make it white. I think I'm gonna make the elements black, so I'm gonna make this bigger. So let's go back in our code, go back to our index.html, and again have to add an event listener again, but this time we are going to add it on the window, and we are going to add the scroll method. Okay, so we're going to pass a function again, and now we have to verify if we have scrolled, say, like 200 pixels. Let's add another class to our body, and if we are going up again, we are going to remove the class. Okay, so if window dot, I think it's page y offset. Okay, so bigger than 200 pixels, document dot body dot class list dot add. You see, now we are going to use add, let's say fixed menu. Okay, or else document dot body dot class list. You see where this is going, dot remove fixed menu. Okay, let's check if this works. Okay, so as you can see, the class is being applied right here. Now we are going to do some magic JavaScript. I'm just gonna do my CSS right here. So when my body has a class of fixed menu, I'm gonna target my navbar, and I'm gonna give it a background of white, and let's check that. Okay, so I have to also make my elements right here, make them black, because they're gonna be hidden. Copy this, remove this, navbar, select the elements, this, and make them, just make them black. So just make them black, as you can see right here. But it kind of looks bad because we're just transitioning like this with no effects in between. So now I'm gonna show you a CSS property if you're not aware of it. It's called transitioned, and what transition does, you can specify which CSS properties you want to animate. In this case, I'm just gonna animate all because it's simpler. I'm gonna make the padding, or no, I'm just gonna make the background. Let's say now we have specified which property, the background. Now we have to give it a time, let's say 45.45 seconds, and give it a timing of is. And now we have to specify our background. I'm gonna make it transparent by default, and I'm gonna do as well on my elements right here. I'm gonna give them a transition that of color dot 45 seconds and ease, and also no, I'm just gonna leave them like this. And as you can see, it's way smoother like this. It's better, and it looks fine. And now what we want to do is make this smaller again and style it on our mobile. So we already have our white background and we're just gonna apply to it in our mobile screen. We're just gonna make it white by default, because why not? Okay, but the problem is it's gonna change right here, so we are going to say right here, we're gonna give it just one moment. I'm gonna copy this, copy it right here. I'm just gonna give it color of black by default. I'm just gonna give it important. So what important does, I'm sorry, I wanted to give it white. So what important does is basically saying this property is really useful, so it's gonna try to override other properties. I don't recommend to use it, but for the sake of time I'm just gonna use it right now so we don't waste more time. So as we can see, another problem right here in our menu is that we have solved the overlapping problem, but the background is still overlapping with our menu right here because we have given it a background on our navbar. So our menu is below our element right here, not our parent. So what do you want to do now? I'm sorry for this. What you want to do now is make some shenanigans. I think I said that right. Okay, sorry. Let's just make this smaller a bit on our mobile. Copy it right here, padding 5 pixel 0. So what we want to do now is measure our header. As you can see, we have here 480 pixels width and 64 pixels height, but we can also check it right here. This is the element height, inner height, and this is the padding. So we just add 48 with 16 from right here and we get 64. So what we want to do right now is give our navbar yeah, actually our menu right, no, sorry, not our navbar, our main menu right here. We're gonna give it a top 64, but now we have given it an offset of 64 pixels, but it still has 100% height. So what we want to do now is use a function, let's say calc, and we are going to make 100% minus 64 pixels, our offset. So it's gonna have 100% height minus the top. This is basically what we have done, minus the header. Okay, so we're just going to copy this and copy paste it right here. Now it should be good. So our menu looks a bit better. I'm just gonna remove the padding, the big padding right here. I'm gonna and I'm gonna leave it like so. Let's say 30. Yeah, just leave it 30. Yeah, just make it 30 all the way. Okay, so what we are going to do next, we are going to add some transitions to our menu because right now it's looking like really dull. It's really simple and it looks basic and amateur-ish. So let's just add some few properties. But first we are going to remove the display none property and the display block property from, where's my menu? Okay, right here. Instead we're going to give it another property. So by default divs have a display of block, so we are going to use a property called transform. So if you're not familiar with transform, I'm not gonna go into details right now, but what I'm going to do is give my menu a property of x 100% of translate x. So what this does, it gonna gonna push my menu on the right with 100% of its size, so basically it's gonna hide it from the screen. And we're going to add a transition to it. Let's say like 6 seconds and give it a property of ease, like so. Copy this. Okay, let me copy to the default stance, and now just copy the transform because we have the transition right there, and we're going to give it translate x of 0%. And we're going to close my menu, so you can see the animation right here. It looks kind of smooth, it looks alright. So this is one animation we can use. Okay, let's think of another. I don't know, let's refresh this, and let's say we want to make our menu full screen. Okay, let's make it full screen. I don't know, give it a property of 100 pixel or 100%, give it a text align center. Okay, this doesn't work. I'm gonna apply it to other elements because this has, I think, a property of align right. Yeah, that's why. Okay, so we are going to add this property to our right, to our left, I'm sorry. Right here, give it 100%. Remove this translate for now. Translate, and copy this. Give it a text align center. Give it a none for now until we think of something. Okay, so this is our menu. Let's say we want to center our menu. I'm just gonna do some properties. I'm not gonna explain everything I'm going to do now because this is like not beginner level, but I'm just going to show you the final results. I'm just gonna give this menu property of flex. I'm gonna align my items center and justify them center again so they are centered in my screen. I'm just gonna copy this inside my menu. I'm gonna put them on top, and let's add to it some transform property. Okay, but first, where is it? Okay, I'm just gonna remove this transform so we can, I'm gonna remove this transform so we can change the transform right here, so we're going to see what's happening. So let's say I'm just gonna give it a scale, so this is basically scaling it more or less, it depends on the number you put. So let's say 0.9. I'm gonna scale this, I'm gonna rotate it on my y-axis, let's say 9 degrees, and give it a perspective of 400 pixels, like so. Copy this right here in our transform. Okay, rotate y, scale perspective. I think we have to put this in the other order, like so. And right here, yeah, transform none. I think this is good. Okay, so this is our menu right here. So you can see this is our animation. It looks like a door, but let's do something better. Let's give, sorry, remove this, just reset the properties. It usually is better to reset the properties than give it a transform of none. So okay, because if you reset the properties, the browser somehow will know in advance what to do, and it's gonna look a bit better. Because sometimes if you overuse transform, your elements are gonna look blurry. So this is it. So the problem right now is that our menu is always present in our screen, and we don't want that. So what we want to do is not apply the display none property, because if we're going to apply the display none property, it's gonna remove my display flex right here. So what we want to do is gonna hide it like so, give it an opacity of 0, but that's not enough, because opacity by default just hides the menu, but the items are still clickable, as you can see right here. Somehow right here it's a pointer, so I'm 100% this is my menu right here. As you can see, I already targeted. And what we have to do now is give it a property of visibility hidden. So why am I doing this is because you cannot use transition from a display none property. It's like so. CSS doesn't work this way, but you can animate the opacity 0 and the visibility, but the display none to another property, let's say block or flex or whatever, you cannot animate that. So that's why we are going to use this to CSS properties. And right here we're gonna have to add the opacity of 1 and the visibility of visible, and surely it should work like so. As you can see, this is our mobile menu. It looks pretty slick like that, but you can style it however you want. It's up to you. You can, I don't know, sky's the limit. This is just an example. I'm not gonna show you more examples because it's up to you. Just play with transform properties, learn them, and think of it. And think how you could animate them. There are endless ways. So this is basically all the video. I'm gonna have to stop here. So guys, this is my first video with voice, so if you liked it, please hit that like button. If you liked it, I don't know, more, hit that subscribe button. And I'm sure I'm gonna do some videos in the future, still like introduction and let's say JavaScript or CSS. I'm just gonna do more videos in the future. But if you want a specific video, leave me comments in the YouTube section, comments, and I'm gonna look into them. And I don't know, if someone wants something specifically, I might just do a video about it. So thanks for watching, until next time.